is probably going to be mid against the Timbersaw.
Right.
Now, Evil Geniuses, they have to cover their bases, and they have to decide, like, okay, what because it's not going to be a single core Juggernaut. They need to be able to have a secondary carry, and they look at the two positions, and they're like, okay, what cores would be threatening, would be the most threatening? And I think a Quaswex Invoker would be the most disruptive core to back up the Juggernaut. So I do like that Invoker ban, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Juggernaut is safe lane. I think it's still going to be matched up mid against the Timbersaw, and we'll have a different safe laner for complexity here. Timbersaw is always a kind of a tough cookie to crack, just because Juggernaut's already going to have issues with his Omni Slash. He can't eat through Darkseer, Timbersaw, or the Sven very easily as time goes on. As you mentioned, these heroes are really tanky. They have high amounts of armor. So a magic damage core would have been best, which again goes back to where the Invoker was. Death Prophet, maybe a faster high ground pusher. Timbersaw just eliminates so many of the stronger like strength carries of the current meta that it makes it really rough. I've got to pull up the hero database to try and figure out.
You do that. We're down to 10 seconds, so we're going to know one way or another. Hurry up, get your pick in. It's going to be Medusa, as a matter of fact. So, you know, makes sense. It's a hero that gives you a bit of a... I mean, it's a good team fighter. You know, there's going to be another support coming out from EG, and they go with the tried and the true Venge, who pairs very well in most significant cases with the Sven. But going to give them a bit more team fight, make them a bit more defensible. They're going to be able to react if they do find themselves behind and having the TP to defend towers, etc. But of course, it's also a safety belt pick that can go wrong if you don't get enough momentum to keep her protected throughout the mid game. So, first thoughts on this, Cap? Complexity, EG, again moving ahead. Very important match as we put a bit of a cap onto our best of ones here in the Americas qualifiers. How do you think these two squads are going to match up?
Looking at the draft, I actually do like the Dusa. I think it matches up pretty well against Sven, specifically because Sven is so focused on being able to bring a hero down in a short period of time, and that Stone Gaze really slows down his momentum in team fights. I hope, are they running mid Dusa? Because I believe... I think they have two different cores that actually beats Juggernaut, beats Timbersaw. So I like that, first of all. I'll just put that out there. I like the fact that both Juggernaut as well as Dusa mid can actually do very well versus Timbersaw. I haven't seen Dusa Timbersaw, but I imagine that Mystic Snake would actually make that matchup really difficult for Timber. So I was kind of hoping to see them run that and just see how it kind of unfolds. Complexity, rather interesting. A 5-man smoke that is more about the Earth Spirit getting down his really aggressive vision. You're seeing how important this landing phase vision is, so to be able to get it up via smoke and make sure it is encountered. And is also outside of the range of maybe some typical counter wards, but they're also still holding on to high ground because they know a little bit about Evil Genius's attempt.
EG eats its way through. Oh, Vince trying to get off the magic missile, not better of it twice. Here comes Jesse and the boulder roll ahead. PVD's in a lot of trouble. First blood going to go the way of Complexity. Now the follow. They're going to get Jesse in a beautiful 2-man Earth Spike, but Sumail also low. He's going to end up dropping 3 down. And we are just 10 seconds out from the horn. Fear, come the Mystic Snake, couple more auto attacks, bring him down as well, and they're not done. We're gonna see Siegfried try to chase down Universe. Universe, unfortunately, a little too tanky from the beatdown on his own. The Oracle is there, but don't think it's gonna make any difference as Zai's gonna be there to bail him out. A couple more auto attacks might have gotten it done. Is he gonna stick with this? Zai's gonna try to body block him and successfully keep his boy safe, as he benefited from a high ground miss or two. Oh, he hit a roll! No, he got him anyway! Now Zai's in trouble! Zai down to half health. Hanskin and Siegfried diving deep. 5 kills on the board. There's going to be a 2-man Earth Spike. Here comes Sumail trying to make him pay. Zai trying to juke. Can he make it away? A couple more auto attacks will do it. 5-1 Complexity. Continuing to pour it on. They do end up giving 1 back, but still 5-2 plus a first blood. don't know you can ask for a better opening 60 seconds of Dota.
I'm not sure how Complexity knew so well that Evil Geniuses were going to be going for some sort of like aggressive smoke play like that, but the way they were holding really defensively, all 5 heroes up there on the high ground, they didn't try and move out with their smoke whatsoever. They just played that. So, and the moment the fight starts, you could just tell it was going to go bad. Like the spin right in your faces, the Mystic Snake, very powerful in that kind of situation, and then they were just going to be able to wipe through everybody there. So what a great start for Complexity, looking to be able to match their first win against EG with another dominant finish. I like their draft. I like the matchup here of the Dusa versus the Timbersaw. They obviously had a fantastic start. I really think Complexity is going to do this again. I think Evil Geniuses, I'm going to stick by them going into TI. They may be the better team, but right here, right now, Complexity, I think they're going to be able to do it again, but obviously still a very long road. You can see the way the Mystic Snake is having its effect on Samael in the mid lane, though.
Yep, I do like the call to put Dusa mid. You know, Dusa, one of those heroes, has been in and out of the meta, depending on the patch, you know, for a bit of time now. Does have a few hard counters, you know, any kind of mana burn really screws with her, so Anti-Mage a natural counter, but, you know, with EG already having both of their cores committed in the Timbersaw and the Sven already being picked, you know, picking it safe and knowing the mid matchup against Timber was going to be favorable. And Swindles, once again, starting out in the jungle. We saw this, we've seen this basically all throughout the qualifier. Swindle's a very outspoken critic of the way that Iron Talon has changed the game and the way it's really modified, the way offlane works, or more to the point, doesn't work. And, you know, he finally said, you know, we're going to I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to stop fighting it, and I'm just going to play right. And he's turned out to be one of the most efficient junglers, in particular on Bat, that we've seen in a while.
I think he really learned his lesson earlier on in this qualifier. I think against FDL, he had 5 deaths in 6 minutes as the offlaner just kept trying to make it work for some reason. I think that was a very hard slap in the face that woke Swindles up, and it was like, okay, Iron Talon every game. If Universe is doing it, I can do it. If Universe is doing it on Dark Tier, one of the few offlaners that's supposed to always lane, you know, if he's abandoning the lane to Iron Talon jungle, then why aren't you? You know, it's just so efficient. It's not worth the risk, essentially.
Sad day, man. Sad day. I miss the old suicide lane. Approach Courier takes a beaten on the head, but nothing going to come of it. Early CS, we can see Sven's leading the way. Jug's right there with him. Timber's actually getting the better of mid, but just barely. I shouldn't say just barely. It's actually about like 20% or so. 19 to the 15 of the Dusa, so favorable lane there. So we're 3.5 minutes in. Things have settled down, and the dust has settled as well. What do you think of the laning phase, how it's going to play out over the next, say, 7 minutes here, Cap?
Well, a couple things. I really like the Poor Man's Shield and the Quelling Blade choice of the Timbersaw. It's really helping out his CS, as you pointed out. He's got a good lead, and a big part of that is it's very similar to Zeus, actually. Both these heroes were actually harmed in their mid lane by the range creep having such a heavy experience impact in the lane. Right. You can see every single time he goes for this Mystic Snake, he brings the range creep low, and Timbersaw goes for the deny, and that's why the CS differential is so big. And it's good. It really impacts their experience too. If you notice, they're actually even on experience, but they've got a whole wave here to Timbersaw's favor. And let's not forget that Limp was also part of some early kills that got him a jump in experience as well. So this is something that is actually having an active impact in the lane, but you're still being able to run a Dusa mid, and that is just nice to be able to say, right? That Dusa's going to be doing all right in mid, is going to be farming. It's a tough hero to gank, first of all. I mean, Lion and Vengeful Spirit don't actually have a job here. They're putting pressure on bottom lane because now there's an Earth Spirit Bat Rider, but otherwise, like, what do? You can't really gank the Dusa very well, because Timbersaw is not a hero that like allows you to gank for him. Like once he hits level 6 there's something, but as he hits level 6 then Dusa might have Stone Gaze at that point. So again, it's just like once you get that pro for the Timbersaw, there's a con of facing a Dusa with Stone Gaze.
I was just kind of thinking about that too, is, you know, EG's got a fairly well-rounded lineup, good a team fight, pretty good late game, you know, etc, etc, etc. Complexity has, I think, a sneaky deceptive, or sneaky defensive lineup. That's what I'm trying to get out. They have offensive potential, and they certainly have the ability to go late, and they have the ability to gank around. I mean, any lineup with a Bad Rider and Earth Spirit is going to be able to carve the map up throughout most phases of the game. But in terms of actually trying to accomplish anything and trying to take an objective or take a fight on your own terms, unless you just catch Complexity completely asleep at the wheel, they have so many answers to bail out not just individual heroes, but their entire team out of trouble. And they have the ability to regen very quickly. Now they're going to go right on Sumail. There's a kickback into range of the tower. Fairy Fire will be consumed. Here comes Hanskin. We'll get off the stun, and that's going to catch a couple. There's the magic missile from the high ground, though. Sumail does manage to make it away. Limp, able to make it away as well. Just limp his way away. And Z-Freak makes it back to the safety and succor of his own tower, but not before Chessie was required to TP mid to keep things stable. In the meantime, there's a Hex on the Swindle. Follow up with the Earth Spike. Fear's going to throw the Stormhammer as well. He went straight God Strength. Can they get him? And yes, the Timber's there with a double kill for Sumail. So that's going to get EG right back in the thick of things, 4-5.
I'm not sure why Complexity chose to try and gank a Timbersaw like that. There was even Z-Freak trying to do it earlier when he did that roll in and went for the courier and that sort of stuff. Like, even though you caught Sumail without mana, it doesn't matter. The hero, like, the Oracle kind of made it close just because the nukes to the Oracle are
top tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Just a Chakram took her out in the river, and Sumail was able to get that double kill.
Right back in, and as you said, man, just a great turn of events for EG, getting themselves back into a decent position. We can see overall that has actually took them. I mean, they were leading a bit in efficiency. It was kind of back and forth in the first 6 minutes, but certainly the biggest lead of the game, marginal though it may be, now in favor of the boys in blue, thanks to that sequence beginning there in mid and stretching down into bottom lane with the rotation from Sumail. And this is going to continue to be a point that I really want to watch, is how do they get mileage out of Peter and Zai? And you were touching on this, and it's really easy to be like, oh, they we see how they do it. They just have a bunch of stuns. Yeah, that works in the right circumstances. That thought of Sumail, speaking of being a bit out of position. Right. They just deleted Timbersaw from the game.
Yeah, let's punish Sumail. Like Grant and I were having this conversation. There is different styles of players. We praise players who are like who are very stable, and then we praise the playmakers like Sumail. And the thing is that those are two different play styles, and they have their pros and cons. Sumail's playmaking style has its downside, where he will make a play like that, where he goes way past the tier 1 tower, a place he knows he's gonna get punished, and no successful rotation there at the top lane. But like that's what Sumail does. Sumail can go really big sometimes by playing or like very hyper aggressive, and when he succeeds, he can single-handedly.
You can't have the highlight reel without the blooper reel.
Yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, like, that was one of those scenarios where he tries to go big and Complexity do punish him. But that's also the nature of Dusa. He should know that this matchup, like, the Dusa is not a hero. Just like Complexity trying to gank the Timbersaw. Like, these are almost dead lanes in a way. These heroes are so tanky.
Speaking of going deep, Sumail thought about continuing to pursue, and now he's just going to cut creeps. It looks like that with the Ion Shell on. No help coming, and this top tier 1 should be EG's for the taking. In the meantime, though, Dusa just continues to farm. We can see some counter warding going on. The Sphere really wants to stack this camp, has his Helm of the Dominator up, so wanting to get the stacks rolling. The Earth Spirit's almost level 6. That's actually not too bad for him coming up on 10 minutes.
Yeah, they're both kind of giving their supports solo lanes so they can get the ultimate rolling in. Could have attempted a kick from Z-Freak. He even conserved his boulder there, using the one that was already in lane. But otherwise, kind of same story on both sides. Evil Geniuses are going to be the ones who will... I don't know, the timing is kind of weird, because Juggernaut comes online faster than the Sven. Sven is naturally more of a farming hero because he's able to abuse that cleave and farm up Ancients. So I think Complexity are the ones who need to be aggressive with the Blink on Batrider, and the Juggernaut just being a little bit faster of a tempo hero than Sven. They need to be aggressive, they need to try and take control of the map. If they can get a successful gank and take this tier 1 tower away, and that'll really limit the hold of Evil Geniuses over this Ancient stack. If they could do something like that, that would be a huge win for the first 20 minutes of the game.
Right.
And then Evil Geniuses are going to hit a timing around 30, 35, I think, where they start getting exceptionally strong.
Well, they're going to try to get there a little quicker.
Oh, nice.
Yep, very quick reaction from Chessie. And it actually highlights the point that I was just going to bring up, which is EG is extremely reliant on Blink daggers. And, you know, speaking of Blink, we see one come out on the bat. But in terms of initiation, they basically got the Timber who can go in and be a meat shield, and that's fine. But EG's really not going to feel as threatening as their lineup would dictate until we see at least one Blink dagger on Zai. It would help a lot to have another one on Sven, perhaps. Yeah. And maybe one on Darkseer, even, as you get through the... As you get past, like, Mechanism, speaking of, Mechanism comes out now. Whereas Complexity, no matter what, is going to have the Earth Spirit to get in and really kick things off. And once the Battle Rider has his quick, which he already does now, it's going to be very difficult for them to not have this happen, which is, not, you know, it's tough to say he's out of position when he's standing under his own tier 1. But, you know, things happen whenever you have an Earth Spirit and a Bat, both initiating from different angles.
Oh, that's awkward. Zai actually getting pushed out of the way. That's silence. But they'll commit the Omni Slash. I like that play from Chessie. Always willing to use it to get the guaranteed kill, like on Timbersaw earlier. This time on Design to get the extra pickup. And this is what I really want to see. The smoke gank, they wrap through the jungle, they gank mid, they're going to take this tier 1 tower, and then they're going to try and control the Ancients a bit more. They can't take it away from EG because Dusa is very slow at it, and you would obviously be at a very precipitous location on the EG side of things.
Spun the hell out of that creep.
Yeah, they really did. But yeah, I think this is like strategically very sound from Complexity. Like they're making very clear plays. Another thing, well, another reason why I think they're looking better. I'm not sure about their game versus EG. I heard they just swamped them, but I think they look a lot better pushing high ground than they used to.
Yes, that was a big part of it too. Patience, just by and large, their patience seems to have gone through the roof. Instead of hanging around and being willing to take what is a decent opportunity, they wait for good opportunities, or they just continue to siege. They have no problem just slow sieging and, you know, making good decisions, especially when you have an Aegis. Like, if you have a ranged hero and an Aegis, just peck away from the low ground, man. You don't have to burst a tower down. If you're far enough ahead to have them pinned inside their own base like that, stay ahead. Just get more ahead. You don't have to win at that precise moment. And that seems to have clicked, and they're just continuing to look good, man. And EG on the bad end of the stick so far as that improvement goes. Trailing now 8-4.
I think in some ways, like, I kind of criticized them. I almost thought they were being too slow. But at the same time, that says a lot of confidence about themselves, right? That I think they're changing that. That they're saying, you know, let's play it slow enough that we're forcing the enemy team to make mistakes. And I think Complexity oftentimes looked at their matchup as them being the underdog. So therefore, if they hit their peak period of time, they had to play out, and they couldn't play slow because that would mean playing slow means you're trying to play enemy, you know, making mistakes. Swindle's very likely to die here unless the Oracle could save him, but with a Finger of Death, there's just no way.
He just got out there a bit, got caught by a Hex, and Peter happened to be hiding in the trees as well. So, good pick from EG. Let's see if they can do something with a tier 1 bottom.
That's unfortunate because the rest of Complexity were just, you know, they made a short little pit stop there to catch up with Limp and heal him up because he had just been farming Ancients with double damage. But they were going to go on this bottom lane. Now they don't have the Bat Rider, so they don't have the guaranteed initiation, and Z-Freak just a bit slow to stop Zai as he picks up his fresh blink.
Warhammer got some stimulus to do one of the games. They do. There's the wall. No vacuum. They don't need it. Z-Freak's in a lot of trouble, and in comes Sumail. Swooping through like Batman through the back. And now, Chessie forced to blow the Omni Slash, got nothing out of it. Mech was already on point. Fear looking for another target. They're just going to pursue Chessie down towards the shop. And they'll have no problem chasing him down. In the meantime, fight rages on, and Oracle should end up dying to damage. One with a magic. Swindle's trying to turn around. Zai does get caught from behind. And no, he actually had enough healing to keep himself alive. Ends up not as bad as it could have been for Complexity. However, EG gonna bang down this tower. It doesn't look like Complexity has anything to say about it.
Yeah, it all comes down to the fact that they were kind of like planning that rotation, I think, to swoop through that bottom lane, but Swindles gets caught before the rest of the team is ready to go. Swindles isn't there in that fight. That means they don't have the guaranteed initiation, so they try and go with the Earth Spirit instead, which kind of misses. Yep. They miss their initiation. EG get the opportunity to be able to respond, turns against them, but lost a tier 1 tower, and all of a sudden that great play, strategy-wise, the great play that Complexity made by smoking up, rotating through mid, taking that tier 1 tower and lessening the hold that EG had over the map, that advantage is now effectively gone. because EG just won a fight, and now I would imagine the gold is in their favor.
Yep.
And
They've just drawn it back to even, too.
The control of the game is in their favor as well, for sure.
So far as I'm in development, would you care to take a look at Sven? I'm curious.
Oh, yeah. He's got the Echo Saber and helmet.
1,500 gold. So what are you thinking here? You think maybe a Blink's the right call, or do you go straight BKB?
I think Armlet first.
Armlet? I like it.
I think Armlet is just too value on Sven before you get the Blink Dagger. I think you get Blink Dagger after that.
Fair.
I don't think you want to try and be overly aggressive with the Blink Dagger. Like if you pick it up too early and you don't actually successfully connect with your initiations from that point, you could slow down your game as Sven by quite a lot. I think they can afford to play a little bit more of a slower farming game right now. Complexity are going to be the ones looking for kills, still trying to use that Bat Rider because it's such an advantage at this point, or it's supposed to be anyway. And the Juggernaut on the slash to
Blink.
take fight and bully. All right.
I was actually, you had me sold, man. I was on board. I was gonna say, and just to build on your point that now is moot, but nonetheless, they haven't needed it. I mean, he's been hitting his Stormhammers. He's been getting involved. It hasn't been an item that there hasn't been a fight where I've been like, man, if only Sven had a Blink. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, that's the direction they decided to go. So we'll see how they put it to use. In the meantime, Complexity takes the tower.
Aggressiveness could really pay out because they just got the Timber Saw is Bloodstone, and what they definitely need is they definitely need the blinks no matter what, because you need fast ganks, you need fast initiations when you're playing up against a Dusa, because the opportunity for countering with the Stone Gaze, this is why the heroes actually entered back into the meta, is because we're seeing the meta transition into teams being tankier and tankier, and the fights being not as fast because there's not spellcasters, there's not as many core spellcasters, so there's not as much opportunity for this fragile glass cannon state. Right. So fights are longer, and because the fights are longer, this gives an opportunity for counter initiation, and Dusa is one of the best counter initiators in the game because of the Stone Gaze. It stops the gank entirely. Yep. Like you just can't go further. But this is an interesting sandwich.
Here we go. We're gonna see Free caught and blown up. There's an Omni Slash for the turn around. Now Complexity on the run. Fear, there's gonna be just a one-man vacuum in the wall, but it's on someone valuable. They got Chessie with it. And he's going to be bailed out by the Oracle, at least for the moment. Buyback from the Earth Spirit. He wants to get back in. Oh, Hanskin needs a lot of damage off of Sumail's Whirling Death. Trying to follow it up. Limp does end up dropping, and now the Fear caught from behind with the boulder. Do they have the damage to follow? There's a Flame Break trying to make some space. And up to the north now, Swindle's trying to TP away. Thought better of it now. Very low. In the meantime, Universe tallies a double kill. And that's suddenly going to be a full 5-man wipe with, count 'em, 3 kills. For EG Universe. Welcome home indeed, young man.
That was very well played. Evil Geniuses getting the sandwich, coming in from behind, the fast initiation, immediately making the whole entire fight 4 versus 5 like that just destroyed them, because they got the counter initiation. They even fought back on the Earth Spirit. They got the counter initiation of the Stone Gaze in, but there is some significant problems. Is while it did slow down the fight, they couldn't actually capitalize very well. In fact, in some ways, the Stone Gaze magic immunity played against them. I saw Hanskin use his Purifying Flames on one of the units, the support Vengeful Spirit, and obviously took no damage and even started healing because of it. Right? They don't actually have that much physical damage to take advantage of that status where they are magic immune but taking extra physical damage. All they have is the Juggernaut Omni Slash, so it doesn't actually serve as an opportunity to get damage out. It serves as like this place where it's like Naga Siren Sleep, where Complexity get to reset the fight in a way and set up for the next round of abilities. But the fight was chaotic enough, and they were already at a disadvantage that they just didn't execute very well. And I'm not sure how well they could have, to be honest, with the way that EG initiated.
EG rolling things up, my friend, and like you said, you said it best. It's what I'm seeing happen to Complexity in this game is what they did to EG last game. Swindles was gonna just die in his own jungle just cause Sumail. Just heard a Stormhammer somewhere. Yep, Limp eating a little bit of aggression, beginning to see just how deadly things like Ion Shell can be whenever you have melee cores like a Timber Saw and a Sven just flying through the air, etc., etc. But you know, the last time these two met up, again, just a couple of hours ago, when Complexity got the best of EG, it looked almost exactly like this, except turned around. Complexity just coming in at good angles, making good decisions on when to engage, when not to engage, and more importantly, how to engage. And it looks like EG maybe not taking them as lightly as perhaps they did in that first game.
Certainly not. Evil Geniuses, they were looking for a pick-off here to make sure this Tier 2 is going to be going down without a doubt. Complexity are not going to get picked off, and they may be able to provide the challenge here with the Bat Rider coming back up. EG, I think they would be smart to disengage. Now, it doesn't mean back away from the fight entirely. If they wanted to, they could play some high ground games, sit up here. They could try and re-engage if Complexity lose their guard, but definitely don't go into the Tier 2 tower fully against the Bat Rider. I think it's unnecessary risk at this point. Evil Geniuses still have plenty of things to farm. Oh, he's actually going to be going for straight up AC.
I like it. I mean, when you look at the damage output from Complexity, what real threats are there outside of the Deuce and the Jugger? I mean, we're not seeing, I mean, it's, the Earth Spirit's just not feeling very scary right now. I mean, it's an Oracle's an Oracle, and as you pointed out, he just really isn't accomplishing a whole lot with what damage dealing abilities he does have. And then the Bat Rider burns whatever. They're tanky enough as a lineup that I don't think they need to worry about that. Here we go, Fear, ready to blink, there's two grouped up, and we just see, yeah, they just have to split up and run back. Very good patience shown there from EG, I think. Swindle's looking for a target, blinks into the trees, doesn't find anyone.
Yeah, unfortunately, he doesn't have a Force Staff. He can't really make an initiation.
And Swindle's next to drop. He's down for 45. Almost no damage done in reprisal. The Tier 2 certainly going to be the prize claimed.
Timbersaw's getting so many Bloodstone charges now. A little bit of it is maybe this Vanguard build. With the Vanguard build, they know that there's not going to be any progression in items for the Juggernaut most likely, so they're just looking at a single core Dusa going into the late game. So as long as they can establish dominance at this point in time, the 25 to 35 minute mark, I don't even think that they're going to lose late game necessarily. I think they actually still beat that out because the Juggernaut's not a threat, and then you have Timbersaw and Sven who are going to be both very, very farmed, and I think will beat out a Dusa quite easily.
Well, if you toss it back to the draft, man, you know, it's what, like we were talking about. It's, you have an EG squad that's very reliant on blink daggers. Guess what? They got him. They got him pretty quick because they had a great early game. Now you have all this mobility, and Complexity has very little lockdown. I mean, like, outside of Lasso, which is yes, then you've got this, and you're going to be able to use this every once in a while. It's basically just an oh shit button. And outside of that,
yeah,
you know, now EG just needs a reset. That's all they got to do, and now you have to fight without that ultimate. And just hope that you don't give up a dumb lasso. If you're able to do that, your mobility should win the day, given how far you are ahead. If you're EG,
I was about to say, Stone Gaze isn't that long of a cooldown, but I was waiting for EG just to go right back in there and try and force that, but they didn't quite see the opportunity. They are going to be able to complete the AC. They can focus on getting the next Aegis in their hands, and then from there, probably try and push high ground. Again, you don't want to risk putting facing Dusa in the late game, but
I mean, Dusa's farm at this point. Dusa's less farm than the Darkseer. So like,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, that has partly to do with Universe farming a Darkseer really well, but you're going to need a bit more than that out of your cores. I was going to ask you, because it's certainly beyond my ken. Talk to me about this Vanguard build on the Jug. What's the thought process there, and why would you? You know, I mean, there are the obvious reasons, which is, well, you want more health, you want to be more survivable, but in this particular situation with so much on the line, what do you think predicated the decision to go that direction for CoL?
I think Chessie wanted to make sure that they were dominant in that 15 to 20 minute marker, like that 10 to 20 where they were moving around. They wanted to make sure they could win fights and take control of the game, and Vanguard's probably one of the better early game items like that. There's also something to be said about maybe there isn't going to be enough farm on the map for Juggernaut to be able to use like a Battle Fury build or something like that, but this just mean that our Juggernaut is not that much of a factor. He's still okay now, but he's going to be less and less so if he doesn't have that kind of Battle Fury farm progression that allows.
Well, Sumail's going to get caught. If they can get him, it's a good get. Size there.
Not sure they can kill him at all.
Yeah, they legitimately didn't touch him. Vacuum wall caught 3. Z-Freak bailed out by the Oracle. Don't know it's going to last for long, though, as Hansman's going to end up dropping. Swindles can do nothing but run for the hills. And they literally couldn't touch him. And now Limp will get off the Stone Gaze. That will affect Fear. He's going to be able to catch him 4 seconds. Dies.
Yeah, got him. And he's going to drain all of that mana. Goodbye.
Hammer coming. And they get two here. There's the two Talk'em swap there from PPD. Right back in the thick of things. There's the Stormhammer. Jesse's down next. And my friend, I believe the death rattle, the last gasp of complexity, might be what we're hearing in our ears, aside from a lot of spinning, whirling blades. Double kill for Sumail and EG, showing why they were the favorite coming in, and they're very well going to be the favorite going out.
I thought with that, like, that kind of start and looking at the Dusa, part of it, like, so much of this actually comes back to their pick of the Juggernaut and how heavily it was always going to be ineffective, right? We talked about it during the draft, the fact that he was facing up against 3 very tanky cores, armor heroes as well. Like, Darkseer has a lot of armor naturally because he picks up mech, and then eventually he's going to get other items he may even consider, like a Shiva. Sven, very tanky from physical damage, has Warcry, is, in this game has a very early AC, and Timbersaw as well, so Juggernaut was never going to have a good game.
And Complexity basically throwing themselves on the altar of Dota, sacrificing to Lord David and hoping for the best. As EG continues to close this one out. Here, blasted back by Swindles. Don't know that it's going to matter. We still got 2 down. Here comes Sumail once again from downtown. The long arm of the... what's his name? I couldn't remember his actual war name.
Yeah, it starts with an R.
Rizzle. Like Ashley from...
It's not Rattletrap, that's Clockwork.
No, exactly. Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's a good game. That's called, and Sumail, whatever his character name happens to be, ends it with a triple kill and cap. This is the EG that, despite a stumble against Complexity earlier today, this is the EG that we've seen throughout most of the best of ones, and the EG that ends their run in the best of ones in true form. They just lay it on CoL down the stretch, 25-10 in a sub 30-minute game. What a performance.
I mean, these teams persevered, right? Evil Geniuses and Secret. They both went through the open qualifier, and they are now going to TI. That is really cool, because the open qualifier as well as the regional qualifiers are both very tough.